And you've just heard Scars from Goliath's fine album, Everyday Hymns. And I'm so pleased to be joined by Goliath now. Hello, Jack.
Oh, so hello.
Good to see you.
Well, not see, but yes, it's good. It's good to be in your presence as well.
Excellent. And before we talk about the album as a whole, what can you tell us about Scars?
Scars. I'd say that Scars is in most part about being able to be vulnerable with a partner, um, especially when you're both suffering from different parts of your lives. The song is in large part about my current partner, Alex, and being able to be vulnerable with one another.
Right, right. And so you bringing Scars with you, that sort of thing, is that the idea behind it?
Bringing scars with you and being able to help each other heal as
Yeah.
well.
That's a lovely way of putting it, actually. And it was a single. It was a single before the album came out. That's right, isn't
It
it?
it was indeed.
Yeah. So I'm interested. I'm always interested if singles jump out at people or whether you write it as a single or how did Scars become a single?
So 2 years ago now, Scars would have been one of the first tracks written for the album. At that time, I wasn't sure it was going to be an album. I was thinking perhaps an extended EP.
Right.
Um, but slowly songs started collating more and more into a kind of a vision that I had for an album, and thus the album was formed. And Scars, certainly from the very beginning, has been a song that's it's spoken to me. As well as that, when I went to do the mastering down at Metropolis,
Right.
um, the mastering engineer said that it was his favorite track and that he would put that as the focus track as well. So already Scars is in the back of my mind as the single for the album, and that cemented it a bit for me.
That stayed with you.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
It's interesting. It's something that a lot of people get in touch and they'll say, we've got an album coming out or we have an album out, but here are the tracks that we would like you to focus on. Even if they're not singles, they do have kind of lead tracks.
Yeah, yeah.
And is that the idea behind that? You think this will give you an idea of the rest of the album, or what's the thinking behind it in terms of, putting one out there, having lead tracks?
I guess for me it was about presenting the album at its best so that you would be wanting to dive into it some more. As well though, it's just because Scars is kind of a foundational track for the album. I
Yeah.
felt like it was key to have that at the forefront.
I mean, in terms of songwriting, do you have a set way of doing it? Does it the same every time, or does it vary each time?
Um well, Scars started off as a dance track. You'll be
All
you'll
right.
be like amused to hear. It was written on this keyboard here,
Uh-huh.
with like a kind of almost Tyler the Creator-esque like
Wow.
chorusy synth. And
Right.
then I thought it wasn't quite working, so I stripped it completely back, and that's how kind of Scars in its current form was born, was just arpeggiating the chords instead.
And so, in terms of the album as a whole, you said Scars was written a while ago. Were the rest of them written more recently? And when do you realize that this is going to be? Because to me, the album sounds like a coherent whole. It sounds like
Mhm.
these songs all belong together and kind of almost relate to each other in many ways. When do you realize, hey, I've got an album here?
I think that was perhaps by the fourth or fifth track where I kept writing singles, and I realized that they all spoke to very similar pieces of imagery and metaphor. So, Scars and Glasgow Queen Street, funnily enough, were two of the earliest tracks to get done. Uh, Glasgow Queen Street Station was more of an experiment than anything else at the time I wrote it. Just kind of fiddling about with, I want to say, the Cache plugin. I don't know if you particularly like Phoebe Bridgers, but I
All
was
right,
I
yes,
was I was kind of chasing after her producer sound for a wee bit, and then
right.
slowly, bit by bit, Glasgow Queen Street Station came into being. I'd say that Scars and Glasgow Queen Street Station were the two first indicators that the album was going to be a thing. And then I think it was right after I wrote Trome, or I believe that the actual pronunciation is Traum, but the after I wrote that song, I knew that that I had something that I could collate, something that was cohesive and glued together.
That's interesting. We are going to hear the track Glasgow Queen Street Station later, so people can listen for that Phoebe Bridgers influence if they think it's still there. But how was the album recorded, and who else recorded it with you, or was it all your own work?
So it was written here and demos, and in for some songs, large parts of the songs were recorded here, but it was produced by Andy Monaghan,
Right,
and so some of it was re-recorded with Andy.
right.
Guitars, bass, more vocals. Andy has an amazing feel for synth, so there was lots of like synth lines, lots of ambient guitars. I mean, I must say, Andy Monaghan is a sensational producer,
Mm.
uh, and the visual, like the imagery he brought to the album, I don't think the album would be the same without.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've got it on my notes here. You can see it there. Great production! Exclamation mark. So that's yeah, a master. How did you come to work with Andy Monaghan?
Well, I I guess it was through my drummer. My drummer Chris Dickey, or the session musician I use frequently, and we're kind of good friends.
Yeah.
He recommended them. He said, "I think that Andy would suit what you're doing. I think that you two would meld well together." And I can't agree more. After working with Andy, he's such a creative soul, such a lovely guy. He lights up the room, and he's an amazing musician.
Well, I mean, the result is a fantastic album, fantastic collection of songs. Am I right in saying this is your debut album, isn't it?
This is my debut
Yeah,
album.
because you've been making music for a while, but so this is the
I want to
debut.
say 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, it must be. Yeah. Um, what were the challenges, the real challenges in making it and putting it out? I guess financial's got to be one of them.
Financial was certainly one of them. I did get support from Creative Scotland. I got
Right.
a grant for that, and I can't be more grateful for that. But as well, there was some 12,000 or so pounds of my own money that went towards the album. So
Oh.
it was not a cheap endeavor, but I don't regret it at all. I'm so proud of the end result that I wouldn't ever think of it doing it any other way.
Yeah, well, that's interesting, and I know the funding challenges are a big part of any kind of working in the arts for anyone. So when it's out, how does that feel when you're not just putting your kind of artistic self into it, but you're putting other aspects of yourself, including your actual money. You're putting your money where your mouth is, literally. Um, how does it feel when it's out? Is it relief? Is it joy? Is it a mixture of all sorts of things?
A relief and joy are definitely the two biggest things. Just being able to sit down and listen to the record on, Bandcamp, Spotify, etc., and know that you've done your absolute best to bring out its qualities, and also the relief of going,
Yeah.
thank goodness that the financial burden is over.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and in terms of other parts of it that I think people maybe don't think about, it's a good looking album cover. What these choices as well, even track listing. Are these things that came easy, or were there big decisions to be made?
Um, Funnily enough, for the track list for the order of the songs, I was just sat down with my family friend Jim, just picking out what made most sense. I think it took maybe 10 minutes. It was
Wow.
not difficult.
Okay.
And for the artwork, I knew what I wanted. I knew I wanted a kind of panorama of Airdrie, where I grew up.
Sure.
Um, and I've got to say, Brian McHenry, if you've seen any of his work before, just absolutely smashed it out of the park with that artwork.
Yeah. I've got some Brian McHenry on my walls next door. So
Oh, I'm so very jealous. I don't have any prints.
yeah, I've got a Billy Connolly and what's the other one now? I can't remember. Is it Alistair Gray? Anyway, yeah, I've got a couple of pieces of work, and he's done album covers for other people as well, hasn't he?
He has indeed, yes. It's not his first soiree into album covers.
Yeah, fantastic. It's worth when you say that album cover's worth hanging on the wall. This I can say that honestly, it really is that kind of thing.
Indeed, indeed.
And you launched it recently at the Hug and Pint, is that right?
That is true, yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So how was that night?
Absolutely amazing. I I can't believe that the turnout was so good. It was a great night. I loved every second of it. I got to see George Patterson. I got to see Jill Maxwell. I got to see Jim B. There was so many people from whom I've only known socializing on Twitter
Sure.
in the kind of Scottish music space. It's just so good to put a name to these faces. Sorry, a
Yeah.
face to these names.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I know. In particular, George has been a big supporter of your work. Over the years, we've spoken about it in the past. And for those that weren't there, what's a Goliath live show like?
Well, usually it would be entirely a live band, but for the album, I really wanted to make sure that the records were put forward. So, with a lot of difficulty, backing tracks were worked into it. So, not too many. I didn't want to overwhelm it, but I wanted to make sure
Sure.
that the key elements, backing vocals, and the gorgeous, gorgeous violin from Laura J. Welke, without which the album would not be the same. I needed that to be present,
Yeah, another fantastic musician to have working with you.
truly.
Is it do you have a band now? Is there a Goliath band, so to speak?
So for members of Goliath, as it
Yes.
were, it's just myself and Sean Riley. But a live band, I do have a kind of set live band that I'll hire.
Uh,
Chris Dickey, as I said,
yeah,
the one that put me on to Andy Monaghan.
yeah.
I'll always, always, always go with Chris Dickey.
And talking of live, are there any plans to do anything in the near future?
Um, I've got a gig for August 18th lined up, but that is a support act, so it will just be myself and Sean and some backing tracks, just kind of low acoustic set. But I
Who you
believe we'll be.
can you say who you're supporting? Don't no, don't worry, don't do it if you can't. We can tell people a later date. That's what we'll do. Keep them
I'll
guessing.
be quite honest, Alistair, I'm not sure.
Well, that is very honest of you because you could have said, "Oh well, it's a real trade secret there." That's my birthday, the 18th of August. That's a great night to have a gig.
Ah, my birthday's just the day before.
Okay. Well, we should go along and celebrate together. That would be the way to do it.
I'll bring a birthday cake and we can share it.
Oh, I've seen that trick. I remember I've been to see a couple of bands over the years where, they say that it's the lead guitarist's birthday that night, and they do it every night of the tour to try and get people on side. Meatloaf's about, I'm sure I saw Meatloaf doing that. Um, in terms of songwriters, are there any songwriters or any writers in particular who are a kind of inspiration to you?
Um, I'd say that some of the biggest inspirations for myself are, do you like Grizzly Bear?
Yes.
Grizzly Bear, definitely one of my earliest inspirations. Um, a wee bit of Bowie, of course. Animal Collective,
Yeah, yeah,
and then also more recently, I'd say Bon Iver and Cameron Winter. I've been kind of leaning into those, and I really like. Bon Iver has basically not got a bad album. I mean, the Bon
yeah.
Iver's discography is so consistent. It's quite amazing.
It's interesting some of those references because in my head you think, oh, that's quite recent. But Animal Collective and Bon Iver in particular, when they were first few albums are about 20 years ago.
Yeah, like 2003, I
Yeah,
think, for like Sung Tongs.
yeah, yeah, cracking record.
Cracking record.
Yeah, when you talk to people like yourself, you think, oh, I must dig that out. It's been ages. It's been far too long. And
I
so
bought
when,
the
uh-huh.
vinyl only just last year.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. It's what a great band. And as I said earlier on, we're about to hear Glasgow Queen Street Station. Again, one of the first songs that sounds like you put together for the album. What's the story behind that?
Glasgow Queen Street Station is more a song about making mistakes and trying to grow as a person. The name actually has very little to do with the content of the song. There's just a sample, just coming out of the verse. Sorry, just coming out of the chorus into the verse. There's a sample playing of a train, slowly coming into the station and opening its doors, and that was Glasgow Queen Street Station. That's where the name of the song
That's the
comes from.
link. That's the link.
That's the link.
I see. Um, it's uh, it's interesting though, even just by writing a song title with a strong sense of place, and people will say, "Oh, it feels like there must be a story behind that," but yet, not maybe not.
Rather mundane, but I must admit I do love collecting Foley, and I really like the way the Foley sits in that particular song.
Yeah, absolutely. And so now that the album is out, can you even look past it? Have you already written other songs? Are you constantly writing songs?
Constantly writing, but I don't know that I've got anything lined up for release yet. You
Yeah, for
for
sure.
me, it's like pruning the tree, right? You've got to cut
Yeah.
off so many songs to get the good ones out.
Was that difficult? Was it difficult to count it? How many songs are on the album? Is it a dozen?
10?
Yeah, yeah, about
10, I think.
yeah. I typed five aside. That's probably what it.
Yes, it is a tight five aside, although one of them's a half one. When you put it each side, I can remember because Eclipse is a half song, and then there's four on the first side,
Did
five
you
inside.
always consider it like I'm going to use inverted commas here, a proper album, a two-sided album? Was that always an idea? Because it does
The
feel like that you could, say, right, there's that side A and side B.
um, I certainly when I first started doing the album, I wasn't sure about doing vinyl, and then further and further into it, I was like, I need this to be on vinyl.
Yeah,
And as I said, when I worked it out with my family friend Jim, it was for the five aside.
yeah,
So I mean, I'm just really pleased with how it's turned out in that
yeah.
regard. Actually,
So you should
Bleeding
be.
Sun is a very raucous track to start a second
Yeah.
second half with.
That's good though. That's no, but I mean, I think it's a great collection of songs. I think, as I said, they all feel as though they belong together. And it feels like a proper album in that way. So all that time and all the effort and everything else was definitely worth it. Jack, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. All the very best with the record. I mean, I hope as many people discover it as deserve to, because I really think these are great songs.
Thank you very much, Alistair.
And this is Goliath and Glasgow Queen Street Station.